Hey everybody, Kevin here once again from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel, and today we're going to be doing our first versus video where we take two bands and put them together, see which one's better. Today we're going to be doing Sleeping with Sirens versus Pierce the Veil. So for this video I have 7 categories that I'm going to compare the bands on. I'm going to take a look at each category, how the band stacks up in that category, put the two together and figure out which one is the winner. The winner of each category will get 1 point. The loser will get 0 points. If it is a tie, they will split the points and get each a half a point. Now, I do have the authority to award half a point on special circumstances, so that also will be fun. So, enough with that, let's go! The reason why we are doing Sleeping with Sirens versus Pierce the Veil is how closely the two are related to each other. If you're on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere when you search these bands up, once you search up one of those bands, if you see related artists or recommended artists, you will see the other always show up. When you see bands that are that closely related, you have to compare them and think, okay, they're so closely related, let's see which one's better between the two. It might be tight, might be a blowout, we'll see. Whoever gets the most points at the end of this wins, and let's get into it, guys. Here we go. So for this category, we're going to take a look at which song is the band's best and how they stack up with each other. We're going to start with Sleeping with Sirens on this one, and their best song, If You Can't Hang. Now, if you listen to If You Can't Hang, it has one hell of a catchy intro with just light drumming, and it gets into it. It's very post-hardcore, grindcore kind of style. Actually, more grindcore because of how rapid the pace is, and it just really gets you into it. The guitar work is really nicely done. The drum beat is very fast, which keeps up with the rest of the song, but then you get into the first part of the verse, and it slows it down, and then it picks it up midway through the verse. Once it gets to the chorus, it is full-on speed and grindcore. It is pretty awesome. Now, when it comes to the vocals and Kellen Quinn's voice, you hear him start out with it, and he starts out kind of on a lower tone and a slower tone, but as it gets into it more on the verse, he picks up that high-pitched voice. Then you get the, if you can't hang, then there's the door, baby, if you can't hang, and it just is catchy. And once that chorus hits, oh wow, does he just hit it hard with that high-pitched vocals. It is really something to behold, and it's a catchy tune. It has that great meaning of, you know, trying to find love, trying to find the one that you want, and just going through the trials and tribulations of the dating world, you know, basically growing up. And man, is it pop punk to its core when it comes to the meaning, but that song, wow, is it catchy. Wow, is it good. That's why it's the best song by Sleeping with Sirens. So for Pierce the Veil, our best song by them is easily King for a Day. Now this song is grindcore in all its glory. It has that metalcore influence with that higher pitched vocals. When you listen to it, it's just rapid pace throughout, except for the ending part of the chorus where they kind of slow it up, and then that little bridge into the last part of the chorus, they slow it up, but the drums, rapid, guitar, rapid. Vic Fuentes screaming and singing his heart out as well. It is a well done song, very well constructed. It is probably the most influential grindcore song of the 2010s, actually. Now, when Vic sings, he really ends up bringing out that sound in the song and really ends up bringing out the whole entire thing of, you know, you're being kept down by the man and it's not going well and you're just trying to find your way out of it. However, where this song really shines is actually in its feature of Kellen Quinn, because Quinn can hit those higher octaves than Fuentes can. When it comes to the parts where Quinn sings, he does hit those higher notes and it really pierces you, and it's like, wow, that is one hell of a mixture. I'm glad they included him on this. So that's kind of where we're at with King for a Day and why it's Pierce the Veil's best song. Alright, time to pick the winner of the best song category, and this one we are going to give the best song to Pierce the Veil and King for a Day. Again, this might be the most influential grindcore song of the 2010s. It is rapid pace, it is constructed very well through and through, from the drums to the guitar to Vic Fuentes to Kellen Quinn. I mean, everything works here. I would like to go with If You Can't Hang, but King for a Day is just so good. However, I am going to be giving a half a point to Sleeping with Sirens, and that is because I don't think King for a Day would beat out If You Can't Hang unless it was for that addition of Kellen Quinn with those higher pitched vocals. It just meshes so well. So, when it comes to points, we're going to give 1 to Pierce the Veil and a half a point on this one to Sleeping with Sirens. Now let's go into number 2. So now we go to best album. So this is which album in each band's discography is their best and how does it stack up with each other. So let's start with Sleeping with Sirens, and their best album here is Let's Cheers to This, their second full release. This one has a mixture of a bunch of styles between metalcore, grindcore, post-hardcore, pop punk, and emo music that is really well done here. It's a good mixture and they keep that core sound throughout the whole entire album. On top of that, Kellen Quinn's vocals are just great throughout the whole entire thing. He has that high-pitched sound, both screaming and singing, that you can really just feel. Let's take a look at a couple of songs. When you're going for a more metalcore, grindcore, fast-paced song, you're going to look at Do It Now, Remember It Later, and maybe also If You Can't Hang. When you're going to look at Who Are You Now and Let's Cheers to This, that's going to be much more of a slower-paced emo song and kind of post-hardcore sounding. So you're going to get that nice mixture of styles. If you really want to listen to something that's completely different on this one, listen to A Trophy Father's Trophy Son, because it is a lot slower pace and it kind of has that pop punk and emo sound to it, kind of like a My Chemical Romance, and it's done really well. Not only that, but again, Kellen Quinn's vocals, I can't stress enough, the higher pitched vocals and the higher pitched screams really work well here. It is a great album through and through, and that's why it's their best. Pierce the Veil's best album is Collide with the Sky, their third full release, which came out in 2012, and this album is grindcore through and through. I love it. Especially the first half where it's all grindcore. The second half gets a little more experimental, but it keeps that grindcore sound. Now, if you really want to listen to where these songs play in, you want to listen to that great grindcore sound by them, go with King for a Day, Imagine Water, and Bulls in the Bronx. And if you go to the second half of the album, you know, you're going to get a little bit more of an experimental. They do have a little bit more of an experimental grindcore pop punk sound with I'm Low on Gas, You Need a Jacket. But they really work well with it. They keep that sound once again to its core. They drive it home in the first half of the album and they experiment with it, but keeping that core in the second half of the album. It is done very well and tremendously done well. I cannot stress how much well it's done. And I know I've said that a lot, but yeah, it's because it's true. Who wins? Take one. So who wins this one? And it's actually going to be a tie straight down the middle. If you listen to Collide with the Sky, I think it has a more consistent flow with its sound, and the instrumentation and the vocals kind of mesh better together in my opinion. When you go with Let's Cheers to This, they have much more of a variety with that sound, and Kellen Quinn's vocals are just done so well on that album. It's very hard to pick which one is better. So we're going to give each of them half a point. So that's going to be 1.5 for Pierce the Veil, and 1 whole point for Sleeping with Sirens as we go into category number 3. Alrighty, so our third category is the lead singer of each band. I've been talking about how their sound actually really works well in each album between Vic Fuentes and Kellen Quinn. So let's take a look at the lead singer, shall we? Let's start out with Kellen Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens. He has that high-pitched voice that I really don't think I found anywhere else, maybe outside of actually Vic Fuentes, which is actually kind of cool. But when you listen to his sound, it is something that is incredibly unique. He's able to hit those high octaves in both singing and screaming. It is really, truly something to be fond of. If you listen to their first 2 albums, I mean, you're going to hear that screaming a lot more. If you listen to their third album, it's going to be a little bit more singing. If you listen to the 4th album, you're going to end up hearing a lot more of a mixture. And that 5th album, Gossip, which we will be going into probably a little bit more throughout the remainder of this video, he brings in a lower sounding voice, but he still kind of has that high-pitched voice that you can tell is still there. And it just hits you hard. It's something that's unique, and it's something that you're not going to hear very often. Not only that, but when he appears on songs, his vocals end up elevating almost every single song he's on. And that's not just with the songs that Pierce the Veil has had him on, like King for a Day. He's also done it with MGK. He's also done it with Memphis May Fire. And he has done it on his own. Every single Sleeping with Sirens song ends up being elevated by his voice. It is something truly spectacular. Now we're going to go to Vic Fuentes, the lead singer of Pierce the Veil, and look at how he stacks up in that realm. Now, he can have a more generic rock sound, especially with those screams, than Kellen Quinn can, and his singing is still high, but it's just a few octaves lower than Kellen's. But it works really well here. If you listen to A Flair for the Dramatic, which was Pierce the Veil's first album, he gets a lot more metal with that metalcore screaming sound like that. Ugh. I mean, he can do it. You listen to Selfish Machines and A Collide with the Sky, their second and third albums, it's more grindcore to where when he can scream and sing, he can get those high-pitched sings, those standard screams, and does it very well. You go to Misadventures, and he just starts singing on this one because it's a little bit more pop-punk. And I thought, you know what? This is good. Dude has range. Dude seriously has range. So when it comes to a winner for this category, who are we going to give it to? I'm giving it to Kellen Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens. And why? I think a couple of reasons. Kellen Quinn's voice is much more unique than Vic Fuentes' voice just because it can hit a couple octaves higher. And his screaming is much different, which actually kind of plays off well in a lot of the songs he's on. When it comes to Vic Fuentes, yes, his voice does elevate songs, but not to the extent that Kellen Quinn does, where Kellen Quinn can literally make a song just with his singing voice. Another reason why we're going with Kellen Quinn is because on his features, like on King for a Day, he really helps bring out that song into another realm. So we're going to give the whole point to Kellen Quinn and Sleeping with Sirens on this one. So we're going to go with 1.5 points to Pierce the Veil and 2 whole points to Sleeping with Sirens as we go to our next category. So no rock band would be complete without the work of the electric guitar, and this is why category 4 is guitar work. We're going to start with Sleeping with Sirens again with Jack Fowler, their lead guitarist. When the guitar is prominently featured on these records, man, is it good. Take a look at the first 2 albums and maybe even Kick Me from their 4th album. It is prominently featured, rapid pace, and it is done really well. When it's on slower pace, man, it's done well too. However, when they came out with Gossip, their 5th release, that guitar work kind of took a back seat to a lot of things, and it kind of got lost in the shuffle. Their guitar work really amplifies Kellen Quinn's vocals. However, in that last one, I thought it kind of took a back seat and really didn't do much for the band. Alright, so Tony Perry is the guitarist for Pierce the Veil, and he has a much harder metalcore sound than Jack Fowler does in Sleeping with Sirens, and you can hear that in the first 3 albums. His guitar work on King for a Day and Paraphernalia, oh my lord, was it good. I loved every second of it, and it is prominently featured. However, I always take a look at the band's most recent release because Misadventures was completely different than the rest of the other albums that Pierce the Veil put out. But what Misadventures had that Gossip didn't in this case was that the guitar work was prominently featured and actually amplified most of the music. I remember a lot more of the guitar work than actually what the songs were mostly about or what was going on Misadventures. And I thought, wow, that actually really stands out to me. So I thought the guitar work on all of Pierce the Veil stuff has been pretty spot on, has been done rather well, and also works well as a compliment and also as the lead to a complimentary Vic Fuentes voice. Alright, so who's our winner on this one? And this one, we're giving a whole point to Pierce the Veil and Tony Perry. Now, both guitarists have done very well for themselves when it comes to, and guitar styles, when it comes to how they mesh well with their band and how they're written and how they complement everybody else, especially the lead singer. Where the difference comes in and why Pierce the Veil is getting this point is because of the fact that when Misadventures came out, man, was it so prominently featured that it just rocked your socks off. And even though Misadventures was different than what Pierce the Veil had put out beforehand, that was the one thing where you thought, wow, this is really good. This is a good experimentation. When it came to Gossip, on the other hand, I didn't think that guitar was prominent at all. I really don't remember what the heck was going on there. So it wasn't featured. It took a backseat to a lot of different things, and that's why it's not getting the point. So our total after round 4 is Pierce the Veil at 2.5 and Sleeping with Sirens with 2. So category 5, here we come. Alright, so category 5 is going to be the drumming throughout the band's discography, and of course, you're not going to make music without that beat, without the drums. So let's take a look at Gabe Brahm of Sleeping with Sirens and Mike Fuentes of Pierce the Veil. Now, both of them have a much more consistent and fast-paced metalcore, grindcore sound throughout their first 4 albums for Sleeping with Sirens and 3 albums for Pierce the Veil. It is consistent, it is rapid, it is hard, and for both of them, they work rather well when it comes to everything else. They really put it out there, and it is done well, especially when they experiment on other songs. We're going to take a look at the band's most recent release. We'll go with Sleeping with Sirens first. When you look at Gossip, man, the drumming is a lot more post-hardcore sound, but it just drives the songs home. When you go to Mike Fuentes on Misadventures, he does more of a pop-punk kind of drumming, and again, it drives it home. They work well as a compliment, and they really make the case here. Alrighty, so who wins the category here? And it's going to be no one. We're going to have another split and another tie. Reason why is because nothing really stands out here between these two drummers or these two drumming styles. The first 4 releases by Sleeping with Sirens and the first 3 by Pierce the Veil, they were all very consistent with each other, and they both ended up creating great songs with that drumming and with those drum styles. Now, I'm not saying that grindcore is better, or that that more metalcore kind of pop punk post-hardcore stuff is better than the other, but it just works well here. The one thing we're not going to be doing here is looking at Mike Fuentes' past, because I'm just looking at drumming style here and how it works well with the song. So that's where we're going with that. Here, we don't have anyone that's above and beyond anybody. We don't have Neil Peart here. So in this one, I'm going to end up giving it a split decision. So now I've got, for a point total, I've got 3 points total for Pierce the Veil and 2.5 for Sleeping with Sirens, with 2 categories to go. Category 6 coming up. So category 6 is going to be the band style. So we're going to start off, of course, with Sleeping with Sirens on this one. And their style is a lot more mixed. They have a more metalcore, grindcore, post-hardcore, emo, pop punk style. They really cross a lot of different genres here, and it's something that's actually very interesting and very cool. If you want to know what I mean, if you're looking for something more metalcore, let's go Do It Now, Remember It Later, or Kick Me. If you're looking for something more post-hardcore, let's go with the whole entire Gossip album right there. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more grindcore, we'll go with, like Better Off Dead, Alone, or, of course, If You Can't Hang. If you want something that's more pop-punky, we'll listen to Low. Basically, what I'm trying to get at here is they can cross a bunch of different styles while keeping that same core sound, which is, honestly, something that's truly amazing. Not many bands can do something like that. Now we're going to jump over to Pierce the Veil, and their sound is primarily grindcore, especially in their second and third albums. When you're listening to songs like Paraphernalia, King for a Day, Match in the Water, and Bulls in the Bronx, man, you can really hear that grindcore sound. They can also venture on into a couple of different genres as well. They have a style that's a little bit more metalcore, which was A Flair for the Dramatic, their whole entire first album, and some more pop punk like Misadventures, their most recent release. When it comes to that, they really can show, we can cross styles too while also keeping those grindcore roots and that grindcore sound, and hey, they can do it. What can I say? So who wins here? And we're going to give another tie to this one. Reason being is because both Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil have a very similar sound with a couple uniquenesses. But with those uniquenesses, what they can do is they can use them in their core sound, and they can cross many different genres and subgenres. And when they do that, oh man, is it good. They never lose that core, and they can pull it off. It is, man, it gets you jazzed. But because of how close they are, it's really hard to tell who's the winner. If I gave a Sleeping with Sirens song and a Pierce the Veil song to someone who has never listened to the 2 bands before, and I said, are they different or are they the same? I'm pretty sure they'd say, oh yeah, these 2 bands are the same, which, of course we know they're not. But if that were to happen, their styles are so similar and work so well that it's hard to pick a winner, so we're going to give half a point to each. So I've got 3.5 over here for Pierce the Veil and 3 for Sleeping with Sirens, going into our final category. So our last category is influence overall by each band. This one I'm going to start a little bit different by starting with Pierce the Veil. They're one of the better grindcore acts and might be the most influential grindcore act of this decade, the 2010s, based off of Collide with the Sky and King for a Day. Man, that's some good stuff. And they also have the ability to keep that core and cross genres. And when they do that, it sounds really good. That bumps up their stock. What knocks their stock down in our case is, I'm going to have to reference it, guys. It's Mike Fuentes with his inappropriate relationship with, I can't remember the person's name. I don't even think that was said. But that's the reason for him leaving the band, and it really does drag down their stock a little bit in the grand scheme of their entire influence, both inside of music and the outside world. In terms of Sleeping with Sirens, they're also one of the better grindcore acts, but they're less grindcore because they embody so many more different styles, and they do the same thing that Pierce the Veil does, where they keep that core sound and are able to bounce from one sound to the other. And man, do they make great music. Does it work here? I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. And when it comes to Kellen Quinn's vocals, it is something that is unique and not rarely ever seen. No one can really hit those high-pitched octaves like Kellen Quinn can and rock that hard. One other influence note that Sleeping with Sirens has, especially with Kellen Quinn, is when he is featured on other songs, like with Memphis May Fire, Machine Gun Kelly, he actually ups the stock of those songs. He brings them to another level because he can really belt it out there. So I think that is a huge, upvote on their influence. So in this last round, who's the winner of this round? And it's going to be Sleeping with Sirens. Both bands are incredibly similar when it comes to their influence, when it comes to their sound within the music. I mean, we talked about that with their style, but when it comes to the outside portion, this is where things get different. When it comes to Pierce the Veil, of course, you know, Mike Fuentes with that inappropriate relationship, it's going to bring the band stock down. When it comes to Kellen Quinn and when it comes to his ability to really have an influence outside of Sleeping with Sirens and have an influence on other bands, like I said, Memphis May Fire, Machine Gun Kelly, and yes, even Pierce the Veil, that bumps their stock up a little bit more, which is why I am giving Sleeping with Sirens the full point here. So, taking a look at our points, who's the winner? And the winner is Sleeping with Sirens. Sleeping with Sirens ended with 4 points. Pierce the Veil ended with 3.5. This one was close, and it was actually a tough one to call, mostly because of how similar these bands are. If you take a look at their core sound, it's pretty much the same. And when they branch out and try different things, they keep that core sound and it never really gets lost. It is something that when you listen, you're like, yeah, this is definitely one of their songs, and it feels great. If you look at the best song, I think Pierce the Veil has a little bit there. Best album, again, it's going to be a wash. You're going to have Sleeping with Sirens with, I think, a better singer and a better influence. And then when it comes to Pierce the Veil, I think they got a better guitarist. That's just the way it is. But kind of when it comes to already what was the determining factor in this, honestly, it was that half a point we gave Sleeping with Sirens for King for a Day. Why did I give him a half a point again? Kellen Quinn took that song to a whole nother level. And if he was in that song, I'm pretty sure If You Can't Hang would have been a better song than King for a Day. So that influence, again, it just brought up Pierce the Veil more, brought him up an extra whole point above him. So I had to give half a point to Sleeping with Sirens. Now that I gave them half a point, that was the half a point that got them over the hump. So in a score of 4 to 3.5, Sleeping with Sirens gets the victory. Alright then, that's it for me. Thank you for watching the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today versus comparison video between Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil. If you think, yeah, I agree, hit that like button. If you think, no, I disagree, hit that dislike button. And whatever you do, also comment in the sections below because I'll look at them, I'll read them, I'll respond to them. Let's talk music. If you want to stay up to date with all of our videos, which we release every single Wednesday, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified when any video is released, especially if it's a special one. If you're not on our social media pages, you should be. We've got a Facebook page. We've got our Twitter page. We've got our Instagram account. Go over and like, follow, whatever, all those pages. I've got links in the description below for you to click on and go right to them. I also have my personal Twitter in there as well so we can talk music. I talk music, put out great content on all of those platforms, so go check them out. Lastly, if you have an Amazon Alexa and you are not subscribed to the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today Amazon's Alexa skill, you should be. It is a free skill where we give you a new song of the day every single day from the years 2000 to today, all based in that rock genre. Rock kind of loosely based, so I'll go alt rock, hard rock, metal, metalcore, post-hardcore, grindcore. I'll go for it all. So, here's what you do. I have a link in the description below, so if you're on your phone, go click it. It'll open up your Alexa Skills app, and then you just enable the skill, and boom, you're good. If you're by your Amazon Alexa, just say, hey Alexa, enable My Song of the Day Rock 2000 Today Alexa skill, and you will have it on there. All you have to do then is say, Alexa, play my song of the day. You'll get a 3, 4, 5 second intro from me, the day, what song it is, what band it is, and the song will play in its entirety. And when you're done, if you want to listen to it again, listen to it again. It's on for 24 hours, and then the next day, I'll give you a brand new song. It's a great way to listen to new music and remember some of the old ones. Trust me, it's free. Thank you if you're already on there. If you're not already on there, go get on there right now. Enable it on your device, and let's rock. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. This is Kevin from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 to Today YouTube channel. I end all my videos this way. See ya!